This is insane. In the question of who's treated better, the illegal alien child rapist or a conservative in Washington state, this story proves it's the illegal alien child rapist. A court has just upheld nearly $1 million in fines against a Longview restaurant for failing to comply with COVID mandates. In 2025, the state of Washington is still pursuing COVID fines against a small business for something that happened during the pandemic. This is the headline from Coin 6, Longview indoor dining results in fine. This is the old story, just want to remind you of it. So this was way back in the beginning of 2021. Longview indoor dining results in fine and restraining order. So the restaurant in question, Stuffy's Restaurant in Longview, was allowing indoor dining, which of course, in the insanity of Washington state's pandemic mandates under Inslee, wasn't allowed. And they just like, no, we're going to do it anyway. So they started racking up fines in 2021. And they just said, we're not complying. We'll go out of business if we comply. And so the state just kept fining them, and those fines compounded. And now those fines have added up to nearly $1 million as Stuffy's, this restaurant, continued on this long legal battle to try to get the fines thrown out. And they're not going to be thrown out. This from the Chronicle. Appeals court upholds $1 million in fines against Washington restaurant for violating COVID restrictions. So it says Stuffy's Restaurant in Longview, owned by Glenda and Bud Dooling, owes $936,000 in fines, $18,000 for each of the 52 days they remained open for indoor dining while an emergency proclamation banning it was in effect. The three-judge panel determined that the restaurant's willful violations of the emergency proclamation caused significant harm by repeatedly exposing Stuffy's employees to a potentially deadly disease. The court also found that Dooling Enterprises, which owns the restaurant, failed to prove the fine amount was excessive. The State Department of Labor and Industries fined Stuffy's Restaurant an initial total of $126,000, and that penalty grew each day they remained open after receiving the initial fine. So the fines have compounded and compounded and compounded. Nearly $1 million against a small business during the COVID era, where the state government made so many blunders and had so many mandates and orders that lasted well beyond the point where they ever should have. And they are still to this day relentlessly pursuing a little tiny restaurant in Longview to get them to cough up $1 million that they most certainly do not have. And again, tell me who our state government hates more. Conservatives or illegal aliens. If you're the illegal alien who's in the country, maybe you even raped a child or you're trafficking drugs, well, Bob Ferguson will have a big old press conference and he'll fight. He'll use millions of dollars of our money to fight to make sure that you can stay here. But if you're a Washington restaurant, small business that was just trying to get by and didn't want to close your doors because it was your livelihood, well, they'll pursue you relentlessly for years to get $1 million out of your pocket and put you out of business for good because you didn't listen to them. It's absolutely insane. And I also should note that poor Stuffy's Restaurant just had a fire there a couple days ago. And so now, in addition to $1 million in COVID fines, they said they've got to start rebuilding the part of their restaurant that burned down. They said, this is one of the hardest things we've had to share. The fire caused extensive damage, and photos here only scratch the surface of what we're facing. It's heartbreaking to see something we've all poured so much love, time, and energy into in this state. The road ahead won't be quick or easy. It's going to take time, patience, and a lot of work, but we're committed to rebuilding, picking up the pieces, and coming back stronger than ever. I mean, I don't know how any restaurant could survive everything they've been through. And it's called Stuffy's too. I wonder if there was a Stuffy's 1 that went under or something, but $1 million in fines. I just cannot believe the vindictiveness of the state of Washington. And look, there might be people who are like, Brandi, well, you're law and order, and that was against the rules, and businesses get fines when they don't follow the rules. This was 2021. There is no way. And it was long after we realized, and even the vaccines and all of that weren't going to stop the spread. I mean, there were some asinine policies that, look, in the moment, maybe they really thought were the right thing to do. But now, especially now with the benefit of hindsight, where we can recognize, like, okay, even the crazy people hopefully can recognize maybe we went too far in some areas and some things weren't necessary and we learned our lessons. So let's just let all this stuff go. Let's just go our separate ways, forgive the fines, and say don't do it again. But they can't do it because it's vindictiveness. It's about punishing people who dared push back against Governor Jay Inslee's 975 days of one-man rule. So it's absolutely insane. We need to reach out to Stuffy, see if they want to come on the show and talk about what they plan to do here, because $1 million in fines is no joke. And this is a court of appeals. Maybe you can continue to take it even higher to the Supreme Court or something like that. But I just cannot believe the level of vindictiveness that leaders in this state have towards small businesses. It's insane. It just breaks my heart.